Good.
Welcome back to the 313. Oh my God, I forgot the name to our own podcast. 31305 podcast. Man, it's what, Tuesday? I almost said it's Monday. It's a crazy week. But as always, I'm Taylor, joined by my now 26-year-old co-host, buddy, childhood friend, Alex. How does it feel to be almost 30 years old?
Well, it's episode 26. I just turned 26. Yesterday was the 26th, so a lot of numbers lining up,
Oh
but
my
no
God,
different.
it's your angel numbers or whatever the girls call
God, I don't know that,
them.
but feels no different than last week or any other week, honestly. So I don't have any joint pain or soreness getting out of bed this morning, so feeling good.
Still peak performance. So at least one half
Yep.
of this podcast is able to adequately perform in a physical capability. Uh, Age is catching up to me pretty quick, but we had a pretty quiet week. I will say, probably light on content this week for the podcast. We did have the NBA draft. Shocker, Victor Wembanyama went first overall. I don't think anyone saw that coming. We have an All Star Ballot update. Honestly, other than that, really not a huge past week in sports. I don't know if there's anything you want to start out with, but anything big
Um,
that you want to start with?
Shout out the Florida Gators for being the sixth team in Florida this year to lose in the finals,
Yep.
in the final tournaments. They lost to LSU 10-2 last night, joining FAU, Miami, the Heat, the
Mm,
Panthers, all down without being able to win a championship. So only Nova was
yeah.
able to win one.
Yeah, go Gator. I know my grandpa was mad. Uncle went to UF. I was raised a UF fan, but have switched sides. So it's weird when my grandpa texts me like watching that Gators game, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not. Haven't watched the Gators in 5 years.
You're like, go Tigers. No, I'm
Go
playing.
go Tigers.
Another game.
But since you bring that up, that did bring up. I do have a question that I wanted to talk about at some point. But um, as you know, Paul Skeens. I don't know. Maybe you do know. The LSU pitcher throws 103. Going to be probably the
Mhm.
number 1 or 2 overall pick next year.
Yeah.
He just threw the other day, and I'll be honest, I didn't watch the game last night. I had a bunch of shit going on. I don't know if he pitched last night, but he was projected to pitch last night. This is my fault for not doing the research. Maybe he didn't even pitch, but they asked the question: what do you think about college pitchers pitching on 2 to 3 days of rest after like, he throws hard, 102, 101. What do
Mhm.
you think about pitchers throwing a couple days after rest?
I mean, if you look at what they do for the pros, right, you would think they would follow it better and they would allow it to be like 4 days rest, 5 days rest, whatever. But I mean, they are young in their prime. There was a complete game of 135 pitches thrown the other earlier this month.
Yeah.
I say no. I say 100 pitches to be the most they pitch.
Okay, so
And
you disagree.
I think it should be 100 pitches that they throw, and they should be given 3 days rest. How about that? Because you get four of the bigs, maybe you
Yeah.
get one day less because you're young, but because a lot of the pitchers aren't throwing. Like even Hurd, the guy for LSU who threw last night, Sheens did not pitch last night. Hurd threw 90
Okay.
pitches in 6 innings. That's a decent amount. That's like what you expect. Whereas Caglianone, who was awful last night, threw 46 in the inning of the third because he was getting rocked. But I think 100 pitches and 3 days rest is fine by me.
Okay, that's fair. And now that Skeens didn't pitch, I guess we didn't need to ask this question. But I know that was brought up beforehand. They said that he was, there was a good chance that he pitched on 3 days of rest after throwing 120 pitches, the game before. But I'm for it. These
Mhm.
guys are 19, 20, 21 years old. It's not Madison Bumgarner and Adam Wainwright going out there every 3 days. It's these college kids in the biggest games of their lives so far. I mean,
Mhm.
fuck it, go out there. They'll know if something feels wrong. Like
Yeah.
they're so young. Obviously, yeah, you don't want a guy blowing his arm out, and the first time that it happens, you're like, shit, we shouldn't have done that. But
Yeah.
college World Series, 3 days of rest, like they're young. I say let them throw. So I mean, I know there's two sides of that argument that are vehemently against each other. Of like, no, there needs to be a mandatory like 4 to 5 days rest, and then the other half is let them throw if they blow their elbow out. Like, yeah, they did, but they won the College World Series. So, um,
Yeah.
just an interesting discussion. But yeah, congratulations to the LSU Tigers for winning the College World Series. We'll say that the Auburn Tigers did take 2 of 3 from the LSU Tigers this year. So by that rule, I think it means that the Auburn Tigers won the College World Series. We also
Raise
beat
the
Florida.
banner.
Raise the
Hang the
banner.
banner.
Hang the banner. We beat both of those teams earlier this year, but congratulations to them. College sports are done for what, 2 more months? 2.5?
9 weeks till college football
Yeah.
comes back.
So college sports completely done with, unless you're following college bowling. I don't think anyone here is. But you know, any takeaways from the college season? Any big surprises with UConn winning, Georgia winning, LSU winning? Any big stories from the college year? Now that we're
Main,
officially wrapped up.
Mainly that all the big schools won, except in basketball, where all the small schools had other glory. Like basketball is the only sport that you saw teams that were like kind of upset that they were in the top four, like remaining. Whereas it felt like every other sport, you kind of knew it was going to be an SEC team in football. You definitely knew it was going to be an SEC team at least make it to in baseball. They've made it, I think, to 14 of the last 15.
Yeah, the SEC rules baseball.
Yeah, of college world baseball. Um, but yeah, just hopefully it all storyline's great, but I hope there's more switch up in all the other sports besides just basketball for who wins. I mean, UConn isn't a big name, you know. I mean, they have been good, but they're not like Kentucky. They're not Duke. They're not North Carolina.
They used to be. They definitely have had a fall from grace basketball wise. Football wise, they are probably one of
Yeah,
the worst programs in the country.
we don't talk
But
about their football
UConn
program.
definitely had a run with, what was his name, Gino Auriemma
Yeah,
back in the
but that's
day.
women's. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so I mean, basketball wise, they've been relevant. I don't think their women's program is as good as they used to be, but um,
Yeah.
who else was at UConn? Was Kemba Walker?
Yeah, Kimball
Yeah,
Walker,
that back
Shabazz
in
Napier,
Shabazz
Shabazz
Napier.
Muhammad.
Yeah,
No,
but
Shabazz Muhammad went to UCLA. Sorry.
interesting year. Probably nothing going to change, but I mean, baseball is probably the one sport that, there's mid-major. Like we saw Coastal Carolina win in 2016. Oral
Hmm.
Roberts made a good run this year, but it normally is, SEC teams reign supreme in baseball. But I
Yeah.
mean, football, we saw, last year Cincinnati make the playoffs. We saw TCU make the championship game this year. So,
Hmm.
I mean, are the tides shifting, especially with all of these conference realignments? Maybe. I don't know if anyone's ever going to usurp the SEC and or Ohio State and Michigan, but we might be on a
Hmm.
track to where we might start seeing some smaller names. Like we saw with FAU in basketball. So
Yeah.
maybe next year is the year that a let's see, Pac-12 team wins the
College
national
football
championship in
playoff.
football. We'll see who's really bad at basketball. Vanderbilt wins basketball, and Oral Roberts wins the College World Series. There's your predictions.
We'll see. I will say we did have, speaking of colleges and transitioning to our next big topic, is the one thing that needs to improve is college basketball prospects. Because we saw in the draft that, what was it? Five of the first six picks didn't play in college. Brandon Miller was the only one in the top six to play in college, which is
Yeah,
crazy because,
and
like, for
he should
basketball,
be
it's unheard of.
he should be playing in the Alabama State Penitentiary. So I mean, I don't
It's
know
it's
how.
maybe, but I think for all the hype and love that all the college basketball gets, their prospects aren't being drafted as high as Wembanyama, as the Thompson twins. So I guess just goes as obviously Scoot. So it goes to show that you don't have to go to college to be a great basketball player.
Yeah, but if you look at it too, like, back in the days when Kentucky was elite with Cat and Devin Booker, John Wall,
Mhm.
UNC, Duke, like those programs are all, I wouldn't say declining, but they're not the top of the league anymore. UNC's taking a hit. Duke is kind of just, around the top four. And Kentucky is probably not even the best, a top three team in the SEC at this point where they
Mhm.
stand. So I mean, the big schools taking a hit probably. I mean, Kansas is probably the only one standing still, but like who from Kansas, other than what Joel Embiid, I can't even think of.
Christian Braun, the guy from
There you go,
Denver
yeah,
that
yeah,
won the
Christian
finals.
Braun.
Yeah. Mario
But
Chalmers, Heat legend, but that's before.
yeah, like a lot of these big name teams that produce the big college talent have been on slides, so that's definitely attributing to it. But
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, when you see 4 out of the first 5 or 5 out of the first 6 all be non-college. I don't know the last time that's happened.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it goes to show that you don't have to go to college to be a major prospect. And we saw kind of a mild shocker at number one. Obviously, nobody expected Victor
Mild
Wembanyama.
shocker, major shocker.
Victor went one. Literally, there were Spurs fans with like little pull-out fans saying
Yeah,
Wemby goes to San Antonio. So no surprise there. Slam dunk pick for the Spurs. Sorry, it wasn't the Pistons for you guys.
yeah, still
Uh,
pissed.
yeah, Charlotte at two goes Brandon Miller. They go away from, I would say, overall ranking and instead go for team need because obviously I have LaMelo Ball, ball dominant guard. Um, but you could honestly flip Scoot, I feel, for more value than Brandon Miller. Unless, oh yeah, we'll see how the rookie years will go out. But Charlotte did need a wing, especially the whole Miles Bridges situation.
Charlotte needs everything.
They need a big, they need a two, they need everything but the one position. And
Yeah.
Scoot plays the one. So that's why they couldn't take him, I feel. But they went with Brandon Miller. I know you saw the reaction on Twitter. I definitely saw it, and I saw the videos of the draft parties that they were having around North Carolina. What do you think of Scoot being passed on by the Hornets?
I I thought it was kind of flip flop. It was a coin flip. I know Shams had been tweeting like, "Oh, Scoot Henderson is the favorite. Oh, now Brandon Miller's the favorite," which I thought was weird. He has a deal with FanDuel. Those odds shifted. Kind of
Mm-hmm.
an interesting topic that was brought up too was like, should he be like tweeting all this since he has a literal deal with FanDuel, shifting the market,
Mm-hmm.
saying that Scoot Henderson is the odds-on favorite to be picked number two. He ends up not being, but um, you know, they, in their eyes, they took the best player available. That they don't need Scoot Henderson. I guess they took Brandon Miller. Um, it's Charlotte. I think out of the top five teams in that lottery, they were the team that needed you know the most. Is if you look at the Spurs, they have a solid foundation at this point. They have a great coach. Portland obviously still has Dame. Houston is a sneaky good team with Jalen Green, Scotty Barnes, Jabari Smith. I don't know why
There
I
you
said
go.
Scott. I was just thinking Ray, and I was like, oh, Scotty Barnes. But Jalen
Yeah.
Green, Jabari Smith, sneaky good. And then the Pistons as well. I mean, they don't have a ton of holes other than the three, but I guess I don't like Brandon Miller. I think I've been adamant about that for a while. Um, and I don't think Charlotte fans like him either. He'll probably be fine there. The alley oops from Lamelo to Brandon Miller are going to be pretty solid. Um, they just need a lot, so I don't think they really could have missed on the draft since they have so many positions of need. But I do think
Mm-hmm.
Scoot probably has the higher ceiling than Brandon Miller.
Yeah. And I mean, Portland did also as well. They took Scoot, and they have even more of a guard problem. They have
Hmm.
even way more guards than the Hornets do. I mean, they have obviously Dame for now. They have Anthony Simons. They have Shaden Sharp at shooting guard. So they have guards on that team as well. But they still went with Scoot because they knew he was the best prospect, honestly. But yeah, I think Charlotte. We'll see how it happens in the future because Brandon Miller. They could both be nice, and they're not going to be complaining about their pick.
Yeah.
Portland again, their whole situation revolves around is Dame staying or leaving. There's been contradicting reports in the last week, essentially saying Dame definitely wants out. He wants to go to Miami versus Dame. The Blazers are no longer seeking a trade for Dame. So it's kind of interesting to see what happens and what wins out. He can't be traded for another week still. So it's not like if they say, oh, yes, we're trading Damian Lillard today, nothing's going to happen. Um, I don't know. I think the saga is going to continue until next week. I think there's just going to be a lot of reporting from Chris Haynes, Shams about the GM, about Dame, about both teams, and we'll see what happens. But I think they had a good draft. But it's not about Dame right now. They had a good draft. They picked Scoot, best player available.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong.
Yeah. This is definitely turning into like Real Housewives of New Jersey level of pettiness in Portland.
Yeah.
Like this just needs to end. It's apparent that Dame doesn't really want to be there anymore. It's apparent that the Trailblazers are doing nothing to remedy the fact that like they want him to stay. Taking Scoot is basically just saying, "Hey, this is your replacement, but you're still staying with us at this point." So
Mm-hmm.
they need to work something out because this is getting ridiculous. I think he's going to Miami. He was he was at like a club with was he with Jimmy Butler or something, and
Mm-hmm.
a song what was it Miami from
So he was
what
at
movie?
It's the song is Miami by Will Smith, and
Yeah.
he was apparently first they said he was a party in Hialeah, which I knew that was wrong because there's no way this man is in Hialeah, Florida,
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
don't know where
there's
that is.
not a chance.
No, but he was laughing on the Instagram video because apparently they played the song in the background and he didn't request it. But also Jimmy Butler also posted on his Instagram story about him playing Dame Dollar's music. And Dame makes okay music, but no NBA athlete is putting it on their Instagram story about Dame Lillard playing music. So they're just both trolling. Who knows what'll happen? But like you said, just needs to resolve sooner than later.
Are you surprised they didn't trade it? Trade the number three pick?
A little, but I think that just means that they're more committed to removing Dame. My only thought wasn't for to trade a third pick for like another younger person, like Jalen Brown or something. I think it's like for a veteran that they just couldn't find a fit money wise. Because I also don't think they don't know what they're doing with Dame, so I think
Yeah.
that also hurts it. But no, I mean, once it got rumored that Brandon Miller was going to, I figured Portland couldn't pass up on Scoot. So
Oh yeah, for sure not.
we had the Rockets taking the first of the two twins back to back. Amen Thompson at 4. Um, Great player. Him and his brother are obviously the same size, play very similar positions. They can play the 2, they can play the 3. Um, The Pistons take Asar Thompson at 5. I think Asar is the better defensive prospect. Amen's the better offensive prospect. But what do you make of the two twins getting drafted and your Pistons taking another kind of combo guard?
Another guard for the Pistons. I don't know what their plan is. We can talk about Amen first. I think it's a great pick for Houston. I think Houston had the best draft out of all the teams, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. But getting Cam Whitmore at 20, even though Cam Whitmore's projected a top 5 pick, leading up a couple of days before the draft.
Hmm.
Amen Thompson is going to be good. Like I said, that team is sneaky good. Jalen Green, Jabari Smith, Alperen Sengun, and now Amen Thompson. Maybe not next year, maybe not the year after, but give these guys a little bit of time. I think Houston is going to be interesting. Also, apparently, not apparently, but there's like a huge rivalry between Houston and Detroit now. um, with the whole Cade and Jalen Green story during the draft.
Hmm.
Jaden Ivey and Jabari Smith. I don't know. Alperen Sengun and Jalen Duren. I guess there's mad beef between them now.
It's just
Um,
because you guys probably picked so similar in the draft the
yeah,
last
it's
couple of
exactly
years,
what
and
it
it
is. We
happened
picked,
this year. Yeah.
yeah. And now with the Thompson brothers, and Asar already said that like the Pistons are gonna beat the shit out of Houston. So love that. Um, but a good pickup for Houston. Asar, on the other hand, I'm not. He's good. He's a good player, good athlete. Is it a position of need for the Pistons? No. When you have Cade and Jaden Ivey, I don't know. I, they're gonna have to play him at the 3,
Hmm.
and he's not a great shooter. He's like a 30% 3-point shooter. I mean this team doesn't have shooters on it at all. Like Cade has been making strides, but then obviously injured last year. Ivy is gonna have to figure something out. I don't know. This team is. I know they want to build like the old Pistons defensive, beat the shit out of you in the paint, but
Hmm.
that's not really the type of NBA that we're in right now. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. You're not going to win games averaging 95 points a game. You're going to need a little bit more scoring than that. So intrigued to see what they do. I'm not free agency wise too, and we'll talk about it in a little bit with our free agent predictions because that has started. Um, they're going to probably have to go find someone to play the 3 or the 4 because they're stocked up on centers and guards, but
Hmm.
pretty devoid of talent on the wing.
Yeah. And I will say we were right about our top 3, wrong about the order, and definitely wrong about Cam Whitmore because I had him going 5, honestly,
Yeah.
to Detroit, and he flies to 20. Apparently, there were concerns about his answers in the pre-draft process, about his individual workouts, and he was kind of underwhelming for Villanova. Like he wasn't their star player or anything. So, but he still like was rated as a super high prospect. Houston ended his slide and arguably got, we just said, a top 5 player at number 20. It reminds me of when Michael Porter Jr. went to 15, even though, yeah, he had a back injury, but he was still projected to go like top 5 and slid to 15 to Denver. What do you make of Cam Whitmore going all the way to Houston?
Like I said, Houston absolutely won this draft. I think getting a top five player at 20. Um, I know their concerns were, workout ethic, answers in the interviews and stuff, but you know, does that affect the quality on the court? Probably. But I mean, a team like Houston who can take a swing and, if it doesn't work out, he was a late first round pick. If it does, you just got the steal of the draft. So, I mean, maybe taking him at 5 or 6 was a risk. That's why he slid. Houston is one of the teams that
Hmm.
is able to take that risk with the talent that they have around it. If it doesn't work, they'll have someone that fills the hole, and you just chalk it up as a late first round miss. Which, I mean, there's nothing guaranteed outside of the top 10 really. If you're picking late lottery back of the first round, you're kind of just hoping for a rotational piece, a bench player that can provide you minutes. So I mean, if this guy turns out to be a 15-5 and 5 guy, then that's probably a win for Houston.
Yeah, and I mean, Houston needs talent, like you said. They're a young team, but like they needed a wing. They had a lot of guards running the roster. They obviously picked one earlier with May Thompson. So yeah, I think they had a very good draft. I got to talk about Dallas's draft actually. For one of my major surprises, they picked Derek Lively at center, and then they traded back up with Rashawn Holmes as well. They traded their 24th pick to get Rashawn Holmes from Sacramento, who had 1 year left on his deal. Good player, just not going to find Thomas Sabonis over there. And it was rumored that the Suns almost sent DeAndre Ayton to Dallas. I don't know if you saw this, that it was
I did
Tim
not.
Hardaway Jr., Rashawn Holmes, who had just gone from Sacramento, and JaVale McGee, but the Suns didn't want to get JaVale McGee, so the trade
Hell
fell
nah.
apart.
Nah, I don't want no
But that,
Shaq and a fool on my team.
so I think that would have been terrible for the Suns. I mean, to lose Ayton for Tim Hardaway Jr.,
Yeah.
Rashawn Holmes, and a piece, like, that's crazy. But the fact that Dallas almost made that move work would have been an absolute dub for them because they needed big men. But they got Derek Lively from Duke. They got Rashawn Holmes from Sacramento. I'd say they had the third best draft outside of Houston and obviously Wemby going to the Spurs.
Yeah. Dallas is going to be in a weird spot with the whole Kyrie situation, but, you know, uh, in regards to that trade, it would have been obviously an L for Phoenix, but probably something that they're going to have to do is get rid of Ayton. They've already said they want to keep him, but you kind of need the money to fill the roster out, or you're going to be running, I don't know, Stanley Johnson out there as your sixth man. So
Yeah,
um, it's either you're going to
Pistons
have to
legend.
Pistons legend Stanley Johnson. So either gonna have to just pray that the starting five and maybe a decent six man gets you to the championship. Doesn't really ever prove to be right, but or you're gonna have to trade him. So I'm not quite sure what the Suns are gonna do. Congrats to Dallas for taking the whole Kyrie bullshit on.
Hmm.
That one really paid off for you, didn't it?
I mean, if they re-sign him, then it's fine. But if they don't
Yeah,
re-sign him, it's an
I
L.
mean, if they re-sign him, they still probably took an L. Like that man, they were in a playoff spot when he went to. They were like what, the 4 seed when he was traded there, third or fourth
Yeah,
seed, and then missed the playoffs. So
yeah.
I don't know. Kyrie, from what I've heard, nobody even wants him. It's literally
Hmm.
just Dallas that has any interest in Kyrie Irving, which
Yeah.
doesn't shock me because this man tanks every team that he's on.
We'll see what happens. We'll talk about trades in a minute. I want to bring up the other trade we actually did have happen, which is John Collins sent to Utah for Rudy Gay, an expiring contract, and a future second round pick. I mean, for Atlanta, this gets them off the luxury tax and the second curtain they were going to be in and puts them under the luxury tax line. But what a terrible trade for Atlanta. Like they lose a borderline all-star power forward in his prime. The last 2 years have been rough. I've been wrong with John Collins, but to get this little value for him when he should have been traded 2 years ago,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just such a disappointment. And for the Jazz, I mean, now they have Laurie Markkinen, Walker Kessler. They have Zach Collins with them, so they'll probably move Laurie to the three like he was when he was in Cleveland that 1 year. And they have a pretty good front court. I mean, really tall, really skilled, like differentiating skill set. Walker Kessler is more of a bruiser. Obviously, Laurie can stretch the floor. John is more athletic, can do a little bit of both. So I don't know. I love the trade for Utah, but Atlanta took an L, right? There's no way they won this trade.
I mean, yeah, but at the same time, like they had no money. John Collins
Hmm.
had kind of wanted out. He's been underperforming, like you said. Obviously, getting more than Rudy Gay and a second round pick is ideal. I just don't know who is going to be giving up a first round pick for John Collins, who, I mean, all star level talent,
Hmm.
replacement level production in the last couple of years. You know, injuries, him trying to dunk over an airplane in a dunk contest. Uh, that's when it all seemed to go wrong, when he broke the plane trying to dunk. Um,
Yeah.
but Atlanta's in a weird spot too, because they're in that 6 to 10 range probably. Even though they have Trey Young, they have Dejounte Murray. DeAndre Hunter has been pretty underwhelming so far, but I don't know. Maybe there's still untapped potential there. Um, so I don't know what their plan is. Maybe bringing in like a Jeremy Grant, Kyle Kuzma type person that can stretch it at the four.
Hmm.
I don't know, because Kuzma's probably going to cost more than John Collins is. I think he's asking for like $30 million a year.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, you have Draymond, but Draymond doesn't really. I don't think Draymond moves the needle. Jeremy Grant probably doesn't move the needle for Atlanta. I don't get it. I know they had to shed money, but I don't know. We'll
I
see if
mean,
they end up doing. If they do something big with it, then sure it's a win. But as of right now, it's absolutely a no.
yeah, I mean, it creates a huge trade exception, which is the largest trade exception in the NBA. So they said that could be used as a piece in a trade, but they also don't have any other picks from the Murray deal. I mean, they can maybe flip them for another big because I mean, right now it's Onyeka Okongwu and Clint Capella on the roster. So I don't know. Do they combine that with DeAndre Hunter in the trade exception and go after a big wing? I have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Until it's finalized. But if they're running it out there with Rudy Gay, and don't do anything with trading John Collins, then it's an L.
Yeah. Um, I think that's it for the draft. Do you have any other surprises, disappointments, or do you want to talk about Dame at all?
I mean, I feel like we can't even talk about Dame until something happens, because it's just going back and forth of like, oh, he's gonna stay, oh, he's gonna go. There's no point in to keep speculating. It's gonna happen when it happens. They just need to
Hmm.
figure it the fuck out, because this is taking forever.
Yeah. But for the NBA, the next thing is this Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern is when teams will be able to start negotiating with prospective free agents. Now, of course, the tampering period, if you remember, it used to be at midnight when it started, and then we'd have rumors at like 9 p.m., 10 p.m. that players were signing. The whole DeAndre Jordan fiasco from
Yeah.
2017 rings a bell. But it's going to be probably Friday throughout the entire day. We're going to hear about rumored deals being sent. So I'm going to say some names, and I want you to tell me where you think they're going to land and why.
Okay.
I'm going to start off with Kyrie Irving. Where do you think Kyrie's going?
Like I said, I don't think anyone has interest in Kyrie right now. That reports already came out that Dallas is the only interested party. I think he goes back to Dallas. The only other team I would see is the Lakers, just to get Kyrie and LeBron's bromance back, I guess.
Hmm.
But as of right now, we hadn't heard anything. So I'll say Dallas, just because there's no other place that's interested in Kyrie.
James Harden.
That's an interesting one, because Houston wanted him. It seems like Houston's kind of cooled off on it. I think he goes back to Philly. I feel like him going to Houston is like a year or two too early. They're not
Hmm.
quite ready to compete yet. James Harden is kind of getting up there in age. His prime is starting to wind down. In 3 years, when Houston's ready to compete, I don't know what is he like. He's got to be like 33 or 34.
33. I think 33.
Yeah, so I mean, by the time they're ready to compete, he's probably 36 with a couple of years left. Probably not, in their ideal timeline. I think he just goes back to Philly. They run it back with him and Embiid, and apparently Tobias Harris, who Philly wants 1.5 million trade assets for Tobias Harris. That was crazy to see this week, but
Hmm.
I think he returns to Philly.
I could see exactly what you said. I'm thinking a 2-year deal for player option or a 1 year for player option, like LeBron did when he was in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And he goes back because I think he likes the city of Houston, obviously for various reasons, charitable and for his own personal ventures. Um, but I think he wants to go play there eventually at the end. But for now, I think go back to Philly.
Yeah, I could totally see him playing a couple years in Philly and then retiring as a Rocket.
Yeah. Uh, Chris Middleton. He declined his player option, $40 million player option he had in Milwaukee. Declines it to be a free agent. Is it going to be for a cap saving move for Milwaukee, or is he actually out the door?
I don't know. That's a weird one too, because he was injured pretty much most of the year. Had a pretty disappointing year. But when we see he's healthy, he's a solid a swingman. He's good defensively. He's a good 3-point shooter. He's going to be an asset that a lot of teams need. He's an elite wing player in the league when he's healthy. I do think the Bucks keep him. He is an integral part of that team. I think he reworks a deal with Milwaukee. Uh, do the Pistons take a chance on him? They had him once already, and after 1 year, they gave him up. Could you see a reunion in Detroit? Detroit's going to be rumored with a lot of wings over free agency. Now, will they get any? They have the money. Will they get any of them? I don't know. Chris Middleton, I don't think they do. I think he ends up staying with Milwaukee.
I have an interesting one, but it would depend on a trade that this team would have to do to allow him to stay. Give me Chris Middleton to the Knicks. Give me Chris Middleton to the Knicks. They'd have to move Mitchell Robinson's contract and Evan Fournier's contract out of the way. But they have Josh Hart, who's a restricted free agent, who they could always bring back. But if they can get Chris Middleton instead of Josh Hart, I know they like Josh Hart, but I don't know. I think Chris Middleton would be a great fit for the Knicks, especially they've got Brunson, Randall making decent money, but not super elite level talent money. RJ Barrett's extension is kicking in, but if he is going to not go to the Knicks, I see him going back to Milwaukee, like you said.
Imagine him going to Boston.
They can't afford him. They have Jalen
I
Brown they
know they
got to pay.
can. I know, but like, imagine he goes to Boston and they somehow make that work. Like,
Yeah,
that's a
no,
scary lineup.
disgusting. We got Fred Van Fleet leaving Toronto, declining his player option to be a free agent. His player option wasn't even for much money. I don't even know what the market is for guards right now. I could see him going to the Lakers. That's my team. I think Fred Van Fleet goes to the Lakers. Better than D'Lo, I would say, at least marginally better. I see him going to the Lakers to chase a ring.
Okay, I think he goes to Houston. I think he signs a couple year deal in Houston. They're gonna get pretty good production of a point guard, which they seem to be lacking. Um, just kind of like the bridge, because I think everyone knows that Harden's probably going to go back. That might be the
Hmm.
consensus. So just, I don't know, maybe a 2 3 year deal in Houston to up his, get him some playing time, get his numbers up, and then maybe they're able to fetch something for him at a trade deadline down the future, or move him for
Hmm.
some more pieces to get James Harden, if they need to trade for him, or whatever. Houston would be interesting. Portland, if they trade Dame, I think
No, they just got Scoot.
I
They
know they
got
have Scoot.
Simon.
I know, but is Simons is Anthony Simons that great of a piece? I don't know how much they believe in him. You move Scoot to the 2, you put Van Fleet at the 1, you have Simons come off the bench. I don't know. It's an interesting fit. I think it could work.
My other team is San Antonio. Like we talked about before, him and
Yeah,
Wemby. They need a
yeah.
point guard. They have the cap space for it. So I would say San Antonio is my second pick. Draymond, I don't think he's leaving Golden State as much as he might want to tempt and whine. Unless he goes to the Lakers, which would be hilarious for him to play with LeBron. That'd be my second team, but I think he's going to come back to Golden State.
I think he does too. I'm bringing the Pistons up again because again they're going to be interested in wings. He went to Michigan State. He's from Michigan. He said he's always wanted to play for the Pistons. His career is winding down. This might be the last chance he has to play for Detroit. He is adamant he wants to play for the Pistons at some point. I don't think he does. I think Golden State needs Dray. I don't know if they need Draymond, but I think Golden State thinks they need Draymond.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like they can't afford to lose him because they think they need him so bad. So he'll end up staying in Golden State, but it might not be for long. Maybe 1 to 2 years, and then play his
Hmm.
last like couple years in Detroit or something.
Last name is Jeremy Grant, former Piston, former God. How many teams has he played for? Former, obviously Trailblazer, his most recent team. I think he goes to Detroit. I think he fits the mold. Obviously, he was just there. He got traded to the Blazers from Detroit. Or was it the Clippers? I forget.
No, he got traded from us to them.
Yeah, from Detroit. Um, like you said, Detroit needs a wing. They could really use his talent. He's not as great as he was when he was borderline all star with the Pistons, right? But I
Yeah,
think he fits their timeline now. Give me Jeremy Grant as a Piston.
I agree. I do think this is going to be the wing piece that Detroit ends up getting. Like you said, probably not on the same level as he used to be, but back on those teams, he had to be the only option because there was nothing else on that team. Now you're asking him to probably be the third leading scorer, fourth leading scorer at that point. Like you have Cade, you have Duran, you have Ivy. I mean, he's probably the third or fourth option, which I think fits him now for what he can do. He'll be able to
Hmm.
stretch the floor a little bit, which is what Detroit needs. Um, I see him going back for sure.
Yeah, I mean, once free agency breaks on Friday, so we'll let you know where all these pieces go. And if Damian Lillard ever gets traded, we'll let you know if that happens.
Probably not.
Probably
They're
not.
gonna ride this thing out to like the start of the season.
No, yeah. But we do have another major sport actually still playing. It's no
Thank
longer
God.
college baseball, but it's regular Major League Baseball. Dog Days of Summer, we talked about last episode, doing it again. We have the finalists. I didn't realize the All Star voting was this format. The top two of every position voting now have a finalist stage to where both players are guaranteed to make the All Star game, but now you vote for the
Mm,
starter here.
that is not true.
Both players don't get to make it.
They do not. The format is so we went through the whole phase one where the top two players from each position and top five from the outfield. The top vote getter from each league automatically gets in. So Shohei automatically wins the DH spot, which that's why there's no AL DH voting.
Mm-hmm. Acuna.
And Acuna is the outfielder for the NL, so that's why
Mm-hmm.
there's only two NL players that are going to be starting. But
Mm-hmm.
whoever makes it out of this obviously wins the starting position. But that's it. From my understanding, at least, is that the players then vote for the reserve players. So if you don't win a starting spot and you're
Oh.
in this finalist vote, you're not guaranteed to make the All Star team. It's voted on by the players. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
I thought they at least had that. Because
no,
imagine being a finalist and not making the game.
exactly. Well, that's probably what's going to happen to some of these players. Like, I mean, you look at third base. Like in the NL, it's probably going to be Nolan Arenado. I mean, I think Austin Riley should probably make it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
If that's a weak position. Shortstop in the NL is a weak position. So some of these reserves might just be the most random picks ever, just because they're player based, and I don't know.
Hmm. I don't know. I mean, I'm interested. I also I wasn't too aware of the format, but I did my voting again for the updated. I think almost all of the players, if not all my players, are in at least the final update voting wise. I think the only one that it's not is DH for the NL. Obviously, I didn't think Jorge Soler was going to make it. I just thought he should make it. But um, what do you make? Obviously, Acuna and Otani are in. Be surprised by any
Obviously,
of the people that are in the final update?
I actually have. Hold on, let me pull it up. I sent it to you earlier so we could talk about it, and I didn't forget it. I gotta find it again.
I have the
So we
percentages,
have
what the votings are at.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at was the percentages because that came out
Hmm.
today. But I mean, first base, Yandy Diaz and Vladdy, expected. Whit Merrifield at second base for the AL, and a surprisingly closer race than I thought it should be. Uh, in the AL, I don't think there's really anything too crazy. I can't think of anyone off the top of my head that got left off, unless I'm
Hmm.
just completely out of my mind. Um, like I said, NL shortstop's gonna suck. The DEH, I guess JD Martinez making it over Bryce Harper right now is interesting, but I mean, finalist wise, I don't think there's any snubs.
Do you have the percentages for each
I
one? Do you
do,
want me
I
to tell
do.
you? You do?
I can read them off if you want.
No, no. I just want to say any surprises. Mine is Bo Bichette at shortstop. I
Hmm.
thought it'd be a little bit closer than Corey
Yeah,
Seager. And I'm going to say it. I mean, I think Alvarez should make it over Mike Trout in the American League. I mean, he's had a better year. Like, Trout is awesome, of course, but I think Alvarez has had a better year. Alvarez is hurt, so I mean, they're not immediately going to return. Judge might also not play, but I think Alvarez should make it over Trout.
yeah. I mean, we can go through the percentages. We have time. We don't have a ton of stuff to talk about, but first base for the AL, we'll go AL NL. So AL,
Hmm.
Yandy Diaz is at 54%. Vladdy Jr. is at 46. So that one's probably going to go down to the wire. Voting ends on Thursday.
Hmm.
Second base is a runaway, I think, but like still, why is 34% of people voting for Whit Merrifield? I don't know. Don't ask me that
Hmm.
question. But Marcus Semien is going to win that. Third base, Josh Young, 59% to 41 over Matt Chapman, which is a little surprising. But Josh Young is the AL Rookie of the Year favorite. Shortstop Corey Seager, 60% to 40% over Bo Bichette, like you said, probably should be a little closer than that. catcher is I think catcher's the surprising one for me with Jonah Heim being 54%, Adley Rutschman only being at 46. I feel like Adley deserves the nod. He's had a great year. Baltimore's had a great year, but I mean, again, so is Texas and Jonah Heim. I thought that
Hmm.
the voting would go Adley's way just because of how good Baltimore's been. But I don't know. Maybe the fan base just isn't backing him, or maybe just MLB players aren't backing or fans. And then the outfield, you've got Mike Trout at 22%, Randy Arozarena at 22%, Judge at 19, Jordan at 16, Adolis Garcia at 12. Kevin Kiermaier got 9% of votes, but okay. But that's the AL. I feel like everything but catcher is pretty fair,
Hmm.
unless you have any other discrepancies.
No, the AL I'm okay with. Well, like I just said, Adley at catcher is
Yeah,
probably what I changed, but the NL I have some gripes about. But I can go over the percentages in the NL. I mean,
yeah, go for it.
we got Freddie Freeman at 60% over Matt Olson at 40. I mean, I know Olson has the most homers and RBIs, but he's batting 230. I think Freddie Freeman's been the best overall first baseman. I think this should be way more than 60-40. Second base, Lisa Rice, 54%, Ozzy Albies,
I
46.
knew you were gonna have a problem with this one.
Of course, Ozzy Albies is having a great year. I'm not doubting him. But Arise is hitting almost 400. That hasn't been done since fucking Tony Gwynn was playing. And only Ty Cobb and like Stan the Man Musial has done it. Like Ozzy Albies should be in the All Star game. But Lisa Rice should be the starter.
I mean,
Um,
all right, I guess I just don't. How much value do you put on a 400 season when you're providing like zero pop?
he leads baseball in hitting and OBP, an on base percentage. He's six in OPS.
Okay,
Who
but
gets this
how
list?
many runs and home runs and extra base hits does he have?
It doesn't matter. He gets on base. This is the Moneyball argument. He gets on base. Third base, we got Nolan Arenado. No surprise there. 58% over 42% Austin Riley. I think, like you said, Arenado's going to run away with this. Shortstop, Orlando Arcia over Francisco Lindor. I mean, shortstop is just a bad position, but Orlando Arcia, I think, should definitely make it. Lindor has been very mid. Honestly, I have my fantasy league, so I know. But Arcia's up 69%. So outfield, we got Mookie Betts, Corbin Carroll at second
Yes,
place with
sir.
31. Michael Harris at 19% for the Braves is a little bit surprising for me. And Lourdes Gurriel at 16%. But obviously, this is only for the top two because
Yeah,
Acuna has a third one. So if it's Mookie Betts and Corbin Carroll, I'm okay with it. I don't know if Michael Harris should make it, but
I don't see either of them catching Mookie or Corbin. I don't.
yeah. I think Corbin's now gotten a little bit of mainstream hype. So I think that's like boosting his voting
Yeah,
numbers
and
up
of
at
course,
least.
right when he gets mainstream hype, he's gone on like
He's gone terrible.
he's gone
And you said it would
terrible.
happen. You
I
said
know.
this would happen.
I
Yeah.
it's exactly what I told you. So
Yeah. But I think he should make it regardless. Sean Murphy of the Braves, honestly, amazing pickup by the Braves. He's had a great year. I'm not mad that he's starting. Well, I did pick Will Smith for the Dodgers, but I'm not super opposed to either of them starting. Like they both had good seasons. Murphy's been slightly better ish. Like their numbers are super similar, but the Braves have been the better team, so you give it to the Braves.
yeah,
And then at DH, we got JD Martinez at 53%, Bryce Harper at 47%. There's no way
I
Bryce
think
Harper
Harper
should be
should
in this
win it.
conversation. There's no way
I
Bryce
think
Harper should be
Bryce
in the
Harper.
conversation. He's missed 30 games.
I know.
He's missed
I know.
30 games. There's no way he
Well,
deserves it. He's Bryce Harper, but he hasn't played enough games for me to get the vote. This should
I mean
be Jorge
that's what
Soler in second. Not even the Mars fan.
it's a
Just
popularity vote though, and you know that they're voting the
I
most
know.
popular players.
But like JD Martinez, yeah, he can win it. But like Harper is going to make it as a Phillies representative, but he hasn't had a better year than Jorge Soler, and that's what it should be. It won't be because it's Bryce Harper, but it should be that.
I don't even if he doesn't win it. I don't know if he's the Phillies representative because they have Jose Alvarado in the bullpen, and that's been pretty elite. So
Yeah, I just meant like position players. I know you only need one total, but still.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, that's the mid ballot update. We'll let you know. What is it this weekend? We'll know.
yeah,
We'll know
yeah.
by
I
this
think
weekend.
the reveal is on Sunday. I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Who do you think starts? We haven't talked about that pitching wise. Who do you think is a starter for each division? Or yeah,
Dude,
division league.
league.
Yeah, there you go.
National League. I still think it's Zach Allen. Still been the best player or pitcher in the NL, even though he's been kind of okay these last couple starts. Not.
He's bad on the road. Have you seen his stats
I haven't seen the
at Chase
splits.
Field?
No,
Hold on, let me. His splits at home are fucking ridiculous. I have to
I
look
can
it
look
up.
it up.
MLB tweeted it today. I gotta find it because he pitches tonight and they tweeted it.
Oh yeah.
Uh, I gotta find it because it was like his
Yep,
splits are
yep. He has a
insane.
5 ERA on the road and a 1 ERA at home. Yep.
Yep. Zach Gallen in
Jesus
8 starts at
Christ.
Chase Field, 7-0, 1 ERA, 67 Ks, 7 walks.
Hmm.
He is
Yeah,
elite at home.
on the road, he's got 30 less strikeouts. He's got 5 ERA. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
he's terrible on the road.
Where does he pitch tonight?
Here against the
Oh, okay.
Rays.
Oh, that'll be a good game.
That'll be a good game.
Yeah, I think it's still Zach Gallen. In the AL, I mean, are you allowed to be a DH and pitch? Is that what happened to Otani last year?
I don't know. I don't remember. I feel like you can. I don't know if he's not gonna win it though. I don't think he's gonna start.
N-
I think it's gonna be
Yeah,
McClanahan.
yeah. I was about to say, if it's not him, then it's McClanahan.
It'll be McClanahan.
Yeah, I mean, Cole's been good too. As much as I don't like the Yankees, Cole's been good this year. But yeah, it'll probably be McClanahan.
Yeah,
That
no,
starts for me.
I think it will be. Which is like that's an interesting matchup because and I guess you have the Rays versus the Diamondbacks series starting tonight. Like two
Yeah,
young teams that no one talks about, but like low key best in baseball.
because they're not the Yankees or Red
Yeah.
Sox or
So I mean,
Cubs.
having Gallen versus McClanahan start in the All Star game, where that's the only thing on is the MLB All Star game. So like all sports eyes are on. It's a pretty shit game. I won't lie, but like
Yeah.
having a Diamondback and a Ray start the All Star game is pretty crazy.
Oh yeah.
Give everyone some notoriety.
Yeah, because Alcantara didn't start it for the NL last year. It was Kershaw when it was in LA. I remember they gave it to him. Well, Sandy was a much way better pitcher. Obviously, won Cy Young last year. We don't talk about this
Yeah, well, we see what happened this year, so
year. We did have some action in the MLB trade market. No major moves, but Eduardo Escobar got traded in the middle of the game from, was it the Mets to the Angels?
yes.
Yeah, it was during the game. So he actually, we'll talk about their series in a moment, but he actually had a great game on Saturday of this series.
And
Um,
congratulations to him. He's out of the lineup today for getting his citizenship. So,
Very congrats.
congratulations to Eduardo Escobar for becoming an American citizen.
And then Mike Moustakas got traded as well to the Angels.
Mid game, both of these happened mid game with the
Yeah,
Angels.
they got announced during the game. They kind of wish Mike Moustakas was there for that game because we'll talk about it. I mean, the Angels won against the Rockies on Saturday, 25-1. It was essentially a football score. Even Shams tweeted about it, or not Shams. My Sports Update tweeted about it. How it was a football score in baseball. It was 24-0 at one point. Third highest run differential in a game since 1900. There has been a game with 24 runs before. Last year, Texas put up 24 actually in a game. And what happened the rest of the series? I forget. What happened the rest of the series, Taylor?
The Angels lost the series, even though they outscored them by 20 runs total. Still lose the series 2-1 to the Rockies. Um, it just Shohei was 1 for 7 in the route, the 25-1 route. Shohei was 1 for 7. I telling you, they can't. They can never have a game where Trout and Otani go off and win. If they go
Yeah.
off, they lose. If they don't go
Yep.
off, the Angels win. They just it's just the way that the Angels season has been going. Trout was 3 for
Hmm.
3 and they got pulled from the game. Otani 1 for 7, awful against the
Hmm.
Rockies. I'm pretty sure it was in Colorado too. So
It was, yeah. That's why the ball was
that's
flying.
that's why the ball flies in Colorado. But I'm telling you, they have to trade him. I'm sorry. They just lost 2 of 3 to the Rockies after winning 25-1. Like, this team is cooked.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, right now baseball is not talking about the Angels, it's talking about other stuff. But yeah, I think he still stays. I've said this in the beginning. I think they're not going to get a deal that's strong enough to convince them not to keep him for half a season.
Are you more are you more convinced that he gets traded than you were at the beginning of the year, or are you still
No,
stand firm
no,
and say
less because they're better than I thought they'd be. They're not. They're still not amazing, but they're at least in a playoff spot. Like I think he means so much to them, and also it depends on where he wants to go. The Angels have half of their advertisements are of major Japanese brands. They have Pocari Sweat as their main hydration drink, which is like the Gatorade of Japan. Like that, he is more at home in that stadium than I think anywhere else he'd be, except maybe the Dodgers in Seattle. Like it's gonna be so hard to see him in a Yankees uniform or a Braves uniform or something else. So
Right, hear
I
me
still think he
out.
stays.
Hear me out. He gets traded to the Diamond.
No way. No way. Unless you're throwing Zach Gallen in the offer, then they'll say yes.
uh,
But
I mean, if it was a long term extension, yes, Zach. Anyone on the team is available. I'm trading Corbin Carroll. I'm not.
no.
I'm not. I'm
Yeah,
not.
I was about to say, take that back. You know
I'm
you
not.
will.
I'm not. I'm not. I'm trading Zach Allen for Shohei Otani.
Okay.
Easily, yes. I'm trading him in our top. Oh, I was about to say top three prospects, but I'm not trading Jordan Lawler and Drew Jones quite yet. But they can have one
That's
of
what I'm
those.
saying. That's what the GM's like. You know, the GM of the Angels says, I want them all.
I
That's
would
what they're
trade.
probably playing at.
I would trade Zach Gallen and Jordan Lawler for Shohei Otani.
What if they're saying, no, I want the other two? Deal or no deal?
Do we have a long term extension with Shohei?
No. No,
No.
no, you can't guarantee that. Shohei's not allowed
Oh
to
yeah,
talk with
no.
you. That's the thing with the trading. He said he is not talking about his extension during the season with whatever team he's on. He's not talking about it this season.
I
So you
mean,
have no promises.
if we are in a playoff spot, I'm not giving up Lawler and Drew Jones, but I'm dangling Zach Gallen in one of them.
But what if they want three? That's what I'm saying. Then you
Then we,
say
then
no.
you then you pass. That's fine. You can always
No.
trade for him again after he signs.
Okay.
But I'm
Oh,
not. I'm not trading both of them. That's a lot.
yeah. This will continue until the trade deadline, by the way,
Oh
for those
yeah.
listening. This conversation will continue until he gets and then after the trade deadline, I'll be like, I still think he's gonna get moved.
He's still gonna get moved.
He's gonna get a post August cut, then sign for their team.
Yeah, there you go.
Uh, there was one big series notoriety this week. It was the Cubs and Cardinals resumed the London series. If you remember the year before COVID, the Red Sox and Yankees played a very high scoring games in London. Um, the Cubs won the series, blew out the Cardinals game one, or it was just two
It
game
was
series.
split. Yeah, it was a split.
Yeah, the Cubs won game one 9-1. I thought the Cubs were winning game two, and then the Cardinals rallied back and won 7-5. Um, I don't think it's going to be the case of basketball or football to where they do this every single year. I know they want to keep expanding. Whereas I think football is the closest to getting an international team of any of the major sports. Obviously, hockey has their international teams. But I would love it if they go to a Latin American country to play baseball.
Yeah, that'd be
Like
cool.
they did it before. They went to Puerto Rico, right? The Marlins were involved in a Puerto Rico series. Have them play in Mexico. Have them
Well,
play,
they did. They had a Mexico series this year.
but have them play more. Like have them play like I want to see the Dodgers and Marlins. I want to see like the Astros and the Padres play like the more southern teams essentially. Or you could have New York as well involved. But I want to put them in Cuba. Put a game in Cuba. Put a game in the Dominican Republic.
I don't know
Put
if
a
they want to go to
game.
Cuba. I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I don't
But
know
the
about that.
Dominican, or imagine the Bahamas. Like imagine like some kind of like Jazz Chisholm's from the Bahamas.
Yeah,
But I
I
think
just
Latin America is underrepresented in international play. Like Puerto
I don't.
Rico, because the U.S. is there,
Yeah,
like it's a territory. But they should go to an actual Latin American country to play.
yeah. I don't think they could do Cuba because of all the legal reasons and all the Cuban players that have defected. I think that would be a really
Hmm.
bad idea. Uh,
Maybe, yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I think going to Japan would be great. We haven't had a
Hmm.
Japan series since like 2019. Now with Shohei being, a huge star, with Masataka Yoshida being a rookie of the year candidate for the Red Sox, like that
Hmm.
would be a fun series to do in Japan. I agree that the DR would be a great one. There's so much talent with the Dominican Republic, and we saw it with the World Baseball Classic. You saw a bunch of these teams um, do well. So I do think they need to
Hmm.
start getting out and doing more. Like the NHL does their series. I think this year's in Sweden.
Hmm.
Um, the NFL does like what 3 or 4 a year now. It seems like there's one in Germany this year with the Dolphins. Are the Germany one this
It
year
got
against
sold
the
out.
Chiefs.
They got sold out,
Yeah,
and they were 14. No, there was 140,000. No, I need my numbers right. There were 1.4 million people waiting in the queue for the game for the
yeah,
Dolphins Chiefs, and it sold out in 7 minutes.
yeah. So I mean, what they had a Monday Night Mexico game. I think the Raiders were in it. Was it last year or the year before? London
Yeah.
obviously is always a spot. I mean, basketball, they haven't done too much. I think they've done a game in Mexico, and they do like the French series. I think the Pistons were in it, but
Hmm.
it's good to see baseball kind of expanding its borders a little bit because baseball is, or at least it was, predominantly an American played sport, and now you've seen a lot of the Latin American countries, like you said, adopt it and do really well with it, and in Asia as well with the Korean Baseball League, and Japan being pretty big. I mean, they just won the World Baseball Classic, so I mean, I guess you say the best. I'm not saying it. It's still America. They're still the best country, but on paper, I guess they won the World Baseball Classic. So um,
Hmm.
it'd be good to see them spread out a little bit more. But I'm happy that they're doing it, trying to get some more engagement.
And even college football, they've gone to Ireland the last 2 years, right? Or they're
Yeah,
supposed to go 2 years ago, but then COVID, but they went last
they
year.
went
I think
last year
Nebraska
in
playing Northwestern,
Northwestern.
yeah.
Yeah,
So yeah, we'll see. We're almost at the midseason point for baseball. So we're going to quickly go through our who we think are the best teams so far in baseball, and let you know what we think. I'm going to go first. I'm just going to say what I think. The Rays and Braves have been the top two teams the entire season. No big surprise there. I like the Orioles at three. I think they have been doing well for a division that you would expect the Yankees and Red Sox to be, and even Toronto to be up in there. I think the Rangers are four, also a great year. D-backs at five. Nobody expected this team. They were projected, I think, to win 65 games by some projections before the season started, and they're the second best team or third best team right now in the National League. No, they're still the second. They have a better record than the Giants, right?
yeah, we're 2.5 games up on the Giants.
Yeah. Speaking of, they're at six with their amazing winning that they've been doing recently. I mean, they're on a roll. It started since they had the biggest blowout and they swept the Dodgers in LA. They really haven't stopped from there. Seven, I've got the Marlins. I think they've also been more under the radar. They're the sixth best team in the bigs this season. Shout out to Miami. The Reds at eight, because I mean, you looked at that Braves Red series, and that could have been a
That was
postseason.
fun. That was a
That could have
great environment.
that could have been a playoff series, and I think a lot of people would have watched. A lot of people did watch. Like
Yeah,
the Reds actually looked cool in their Friday alternate uniform. I forget what it's
yeah,
called. The
the
City Connect
City
jerseys.
Connect. Yeah,
Yeah, I know they lost the other two games, but I mean, Joey Votto hit that huge home run. It was
yeah.
Great American Ballpark.
All the fans did the chop in game one after they won, they subsequently lost the next two games. So
Yeah, but it was
thought
still a
that
great
was
series. It
yeah,
was
no,
still
it
a great
was.
series.
Ellie De La Cruz
I
with his first career cycle. He's
cycle,
the
yeah,
youngest, the third youngest person to ever do it since like 1900. So
and
good for
he's
him. Good
stealing
for him.
some Rookie of the Year voting from Corbin Carroll now.
I, I
He's
was
going to.
I was worried about it. I check the odds for the awards every day. He is not
Yeah.
shifted. He's still minus, I think, 450 to win it, and Ellie De La Cruz has actually gone up in the odds, up to like plus 450, 500. So
Hmm.
even
Yeah.
after all of this, Corbin's had half a year pretty much on Ellie De La Cruz. It's gonna take a lot for him to
Yeah.
catch up. I
Catch
think.
up.
Like, yeah, he's in the
I got
news a lot. He's doing great, but
hmm
it's gonna
Yeah,
take a
yeah.
while.
I got the Yanks at nine. Again, underwhelming season by their standards, but they're still a top 10 team in baseball to me. I got the Dodgers at 10. I think, again, underwhelming season, but I would still wouldn't bet against them in a playoff series. And at 11, I've got the Blue Jays. And at 12, I've got the Astros of Houston, who I'm still not sold on. So,
Yeah, they're still out there with the Jose Abreu worst free agent signing of the year.
yeah.
But I agree. My first top two are the same. The Rays, number one. The Braves, two. Even though the Braves, I think, are creeping up, and a lot of people think they're better than them. But the Rays are up a game and a half. I'm still giving the Rays the edge. They've been good all year. Tyler Glasnow looked amazing in his start against the Royals with 12 strikeouts through, I think, like 6 innings, 1 run. Looked great. The Braves get two. They've been on a roll. They're easily the best team in the NL. Three, I have the Rangers. They've handled no DeGrom surprisingly well. The offense is probably a top three offense in the league. They're elite. They're I can't even like think of anything bad to say about the Rangers. Four is the Orioles. I feel like they've kind of slipped since maybe they just haven't been getting in the news a lot more, but still having a great season, still second in the AL East. Um, they have to be first in the wild card, I would assume. Trying to think off the top of
Yeah.
my head. Yeah,
Who, the
they definitely
Orioles?
are. Yeah.
Yeah, they are. They are for sure.
Five, kind of surprising. The Giants. After beating the Diamondbacks this last weekend in the series, I'll give them the nudge up. There was some extenuating circumstances of why they won, and talk about it now because I have the D-bats at six. Started out great. They were up to 4.5, 5 games up on the next team in the NL West, down to a 2.5 lead against the Giants. They had a really rough schedule. They had a game last month. I was about to say rained out against the Nationals, but it was due to all the smoke storms and all that, or the smoke firestorm bullshit that was happening from Canada. Their game got delayed and postponed. So they had a 3 game set in Milwaukee. Next day had to, or I guess same night, had to fly out for a day game in Washington. Then had to fly across the country that same night to San Francisco. Had a day game and then a night game and 2 day games. So they were off
Hmm.
yesterday, a well-deserved break. But honestly, the schedule's probably fucked them. I'll slide them down to 6. The Dodgers at 7. They still have the talent to be the best team in the NL West. I still think they are the best team in the NL West on paper. Once they can figure out their bullpen, think they should be fine. The Yankees at 8, the Astros at 9. I know you're gonna be mad at me. The Marlins at 10. I am not a believer in the Marlins yet. I'm sorry. Until Sandy Alcantara figures it out, it's gonna be rough because the wild card is a 3 game set, and you know who are they gonna throw? I know Yuri Perez has been great, but playoff comes, he's never had playoff experience. Sandy's been pretty meh. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm
I
I'm
think just wait till this week. We put the Red Sox for 3 and Atlanta for 3 on the road. If we go 0-6 or 2-4, go ahead. If we go 3-3 or much or better, you got to start believing in Miami.
I mean, if you go 3-3, it just means that you beat the Braves once and the Red Sox twice. So,
What if
uh,
we sweep Atlanta and then
if you
we
sweep Atlanta, I will come on the pot. When do they play? This weekend?
this weekend?
If they sweep the Atlanta Braves in Atlanta, I will.
Yep. But no, let me hear it. Let me hear it. Let me hear it.
I don't have anything that I was gonna do, but
How about you got to buy a Marlins hat from Lids where you are, and you got to wear it on the pod.
fair enough.
There you go.
If the Miami Marlins sweep the Atlanta Braves next week, I will go buy a Marlins hat and wear it on the pod next week.
There you go. And
I have
it's got to be a
zero
nice
faith.
one too.
I have absolutely zero faith that they'll do that, so that's fine by me.
Okay.
Hey man, if they do, it's a repurposed birthday gift for you.
That's fine.
And then my just missed 11th, I have Cincy. I also am not a firm believer in them yet. They've been really hot, but how sustainable is it? Ellie De La Cruz
Hmm.
has been electric. Is he going to be able to put these numbers up the rest of the year? Probably not, but they've been better than expected. And then I've got the Blue Jays at 12. Kind of just that's the thing. It's like 4 of the AL East teams are in the top 12. Like the AL East is
Yeah,
elite, and one of those teams isn't going to make the playoffs.
yeah, you know it. I mean, two. It depends on how high the Astros. Well, I guess there's 3 teams make the wild cards. Never mind.
Yeah.
I forgot the AL Central is actually dog shit. So
Well, you got to think because there's only going to be one AL Central team. We know that.
yeah.
But I mean, the AL East and the AL West. I mean, you're probably going to have the Astros and the Rangers make it. So it's going to be a
Mm.
fight between the Astros and whoever that last AL East team is. But I, mean, I guess there's a world that all 3 AL East teams that don't win it get in, but it'll be
Man,
fun.
I want us to keep it on the Blue Jays for just a second outside of our power rankings to talk
Oh
about
yes,
Alec
sir.
Manoah. He had his first rookie ball start today. We were wondering when it'd be last week. We were looking it up. He hadn't made it against the Florida Complex League Yankees. This man goes 2 2/3, 3 strikeouts, 2 walks, 11 earned runs, 10 hits, and 2 home runs allowed in rookie ball. Like this man, how does this happen? How do you go from being a Cy Young candidate last year to becoming this atrocity of pitching performance in like 9 months?
He just lost faith. I mean, he got demoted to literal rookie ball. Like, would you give a shit if you were a Cy Young candidate that got sent down to FCL complex in Florida? I wouldn't give a fuck. I mean, his
I'd still
confidence.
try.
I mean, yeah. I mean, no doubt. But I mean, this is what I said. I said this is what was going to happen: is if he gets rocked, he's going to lose all confidence. This was a risk that the Blue Jays took. I think it absolutely backfired. This guy's confidence is going to be shot now. He just gave up what you said, 10 or 11 runs in
11
2 2/3
runs.
innings against 18, 16, 17 year olds. Like that's gonna kill his confidence. He'll make the majors again at some point, you would think, but like if you're him, you've got to be wondering what the fuck went wrong.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know what happened to this man. Again, I'm still questioning it.
Like, does he have the yips? Is there something in his mechanics that they think they're gonna fix?
Is
Letting
he
up 11
tipping his
runs,
pitches? I don't know.
giving up 11 runs is probably not the answer that the Blue Jays were looking for.
Yeah. I think that's it for baseball. Of course, we'll let you know how the All Star voting goes and any moves. Uh, we are again in the off season for football, so not much news. However, we will get into some. It's early, we know, but there's going to be very little moves done in football. So because of that, we kind of already know who is going to be on what team. Again, we're still waiting for Dalvin Cook to sign, still waiting for DeAndre Hopkins. But besides that, we have a lot of the position set for all of the major teams in football. And Bill Barnwell had his position rankings list, which I don't know if you saw it, came out on ESPN yesterday, talking about who had the best position rankings. So we thought we'd give it a crack ourselves because he put the Vikings at 3 with just Justin Jefferson, which I think is like an absolute atrocity because he's
Literally
great.
all they have.
It's all they have. So take me through who you think has the best quarterback, the best running backs overall, not just the top dog, overall running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and O line.
All right, so I'm assuming we're going AFC, NFC.
Yeah.
So AFC best quarterback room, I think, is the Baltimore Ravens. You've got Lamar Jackson, top 5 quarterback when he's healthy and playing up to his potential. You got Tyler Huntley, who made an All-Star game last year. He was serviceable when Lamar was out. Um,
hmm
Obviously, Lamar and Tyler Huntley are not the best quarterbacks in the league, but when you look at the rooms, like who's backing up Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, I actually don't even know who's doing any of those. So
Yeah.
um, the Ravens get the nod. Quarterback and tight end is probably gonna be like the weirdest positions because there's not a lot of like huge depth. But I mean, having an all-star backup quarterback is definitely elite.
hmm I'm thinking I'm thinking the Steelers, weirdly enough. They don't have obviously the top level talent, but they've got Mason Rudolph, Mitch Trubisky backing up Kenny Pickett. Like if Kenny Pickett gets hurt, I don't see that team dropping off super much to the next level. And even their third string, like for them to have a third quarterback who has started NFL games, like at least for a season, I think to me gives them the advantage. Again, honestly, none of these players are on the same level as a lot of the players, like even Stu Huntley even, but they have the biggest depth. So I would say the Steelers.
Okay. Running back wise, I'm gonna take the Jets. You've got Brees Hall, you've got Michael Carter. I think depth wise, they're pretty solid. I know depending on where Dalvin Cook goes, and if he goes to Miami, the answer is Miami. I already know you're gonna pick Miami as your answer. But if Dalvin Cook was to go there, I'd pick him. But I just think Brees Hall and uh, Carter is
Michael
gonna be
Carter.
a solid 1-2 punch for A Ron.
If you give me Brees Hall no ACL injury history, sure. But because he's coming off ACL, I'm giving it to the Dolphins. They've got Mostert, Wilson. Again, both have started several games, and both for the Niners and for the Dolphins. You got the most recent draft pick. Is it? It's not A Chain.
Yeah, it's
How do you
definitely
pronounce his
Devon A
last
Chain.
name? Devon A Chain. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, A Chain, the rookie who they just drafted. You got Miles Gaskin, who started for 2 seasons for the Dolphins. I mean, again, if two of these guys go down, I'm still not worried. Like, I'm a
Oh,
little concerned. I'm a
I'm
little
terrified.
concerned, but like, I'm still not worried because like you can sign one veteran running back to replace them. You know, it's not like a huge deal. Whereas like for the Jets, if Brees Hall or Michael Carter goes down, you're relying on a guy who just had an ACL tear completely. You know, so that's why I'm picking the Dolphins.
Bring back Jay Ajayi. Where's he at?
Retired in London.
His 3 games in a row of over 200 yards. That shit was elite,
Legendary season.
legendary.
Yeah. I'll skip because I know where you're going for the next one. For wide receivers, I'm picking the Bengals only because their third receiver, Jamar Chase and Tyreek Hill, because I know the Dolphins are up there too, are so similar. T. Higgins and Waddle, I give the advantage to Waddle. But I mean, Taj Boyd is a good wide receiver 3.
Who?
Like, not I say this every time, Tyler Boyd. Every time I say Taj Boyd,
Taj
Tyler Boyd.
Boyd, Clemson quarterback legend.
Because I remember watching him play and losing. But Tyler Boyd is a really good wide receiver 3. I think he's better than the Dolphins wide receiver 3.
Who
Mainly
we
is why I
don't
put him above the
who
Dolphins.
we don't even know who the Dolphins wide receiver 3 is gonna. Is it gonna be Trent Sherfield? We don't know.
Braxton Berrios. So yeah, so I'm
Um,
picking the Bengals.
I'm gonna give it to the Dolphins. I mean, they've got two top 10 wide receivers in the league. Yeah, I said it. Jalen Waddle's a top 10 wide receiver.
I agree.
Um, I do like Trent Sherfield. I'm not gonna lie, might be good, but yeah, the Bengals are good. Jamar Chase, T Higgins, obviously. I think if you look at it 1-2, I'm taking Tyreek over Jamar Chase, and I'm taking
Mhm.
Jalen Waddle over T Higgins. So I think right there that answers the question. I'm probably taking Jalen Waddle over Jamar Chase. No, I'm kidding. I'm absolutely not doing that. But it's close, but I'll take the Dolphins as the best wide receiver room.
I'll also remind you, Trent Sherfield no longer plays for the Miami Dolphins.
Oh shit! Never mind.
He plays for the Bills. He signed for Buffalo.
Oh fuck! Did he?
Yeah, he signed for Buffalo in the
Oh
offseason.
no! I didn't see that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
tough.
yeah, yeah.
Who the
That's
hell's our who's our wide receiver three now?
it's Braxton Berrios. That's what I told you.
Actually, oh shit.
Yeah.
Where's Kenny Stills at? Where's that motherfucker who didn't play at all?
Well, what about Will Trill, Will Fuller? No, it's gonna be Chosen Anderson. Remember?
Wait, what did I just say? Kenny Stills. Ah, that's what I meant. I meant Will Fuller. But Kenny Stills
Yeah, Will
actually played
Fuller.
for him. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but the artist formerly known as was it Ryan Anderson was his name? Now it's Chosen Anderson
Yeah,
from
Robbie
the
Anderson.
Panthers. Robbie Anderson. Now he's playing for the Dolphins.
Yeah, bro, he's about to have a breakout year. 1,500 yards.
At tight end, I'm guessing I'm liking the Ravens. I mean, Mark Andrews likely Andrews was hurt and likely was able to replicate his like 142 yards, I think, in a game this season. So I like the Ravens at tight end in the AFC.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I have two. I think the Bills with Dawson Knox and Dalton Kincaid is going to be good. We haven't seen what Kincaid could do, but on the other hand, Isaiah Likely's coming in his second year, so they're both pretty unproven tight ends. I mean, Mark Andrews is better than Dawson Knox, but elite level tight ends. So I mean, I'll take either one of them. If I had to pick now, I'm probably taking Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, but we don't know what Dalton Kincaid is going to do this year either. But two solid, probably top two in the AFC.
Yeah. And I think we'll both agree on the O line for the AFC. It's got to be
It's the
Cleveland. I
Browns.
mean,
Yeah, it's for
yeah,
sure
it's
the
the
Browns.
Brown. Their run game is elite. Their pass blocking is really good. I mean, they open up a lot of avenues for Nick Chubb, who I think went from one of the best running back rooms to one of the worst because outside of Nick Chubb, it's just no but names. Like they don't have Kareem
Yeah.
Hunt. They don't have the backup that they had before. So
Also, I feel like Joel Bitonio has played for like 18 years. Has he not been in the league like forever, or am I tripping?
Joel Platonia. I have no idea.
I
I
swear to
honestly couldn't
God,
tell
that
you.
man. I swear to God, that man's been in the league for like 20 years.
He's 31 and he made the league in 2014. So this is his 10th year in the league.
Okay, I knew he's been
All of
around for a
Cleveland.
while. I swear to God, that man's been like in the early 2000s. I feel like I've heard
I
his
mean, yeah,
name.
he got drafted in the second round. He was actually on IR for 2 years in a row, but
Yeah.
he's been pretty good since then. So now we got the NFC. I hate to agree with you on this, but I think it's the best choice, and it's the Niners at quarterback.
It
Because I
is.
hate the talent they have, because I think all of them are kind of trash. But Brock Purdy, I mean, coming back from his injury, you got Sam Darnold. Obviously, you got Trey Lance. Nobody knows what the heck's happening with him. So, like, kind of like the Steelers, like any one of these guys, I feel like they don't lose much. But I just hate that's the Niners.
Yeah, I mean, Brock Purdy had a good year. Sam Darnold has been pretty bad, and Trey Lance we still don't know. But like you
Hmm.
said, kind of the same as Pittsburgh, where if Purdy doesn't come out flying like he did last year, they won't lose. I feel like a lot of production with it. So yeah, I agree. The Niners. I was thinking the Eagles. Is Gardner Minshew still the backup for Jalen Hurts out in Philly?
I think he is. Yeah, I think he re-signed to be the backup.
I was thinking that could also be that's a solid QB room with Jalen Hurts and Gardner Minshew, but Minshew mania, baby. It's gonna come back at some point. He's gonna come back at like 36, and like lead us into a Super Bowl, and I'm so excited for it.
Do the Nick Foles career
Yeah,
path.
no, no, him and Blake Bortles are gonna team up in like Vegas,
Actually,
right there.
they have Marcus Mariota.
Oh, did he leave
Marcus
Atlanta?
Mariota, yeah, Marcus Mariota is the backup for Jalen Hurts.
All right,
I
well that
mean,
backup that backup is worse. Okay, so never mind. The Eagles are no longer bad. Marcus Mariota is ass.
yeah. Running back, I'm going with Philly, even though you said about for quarterback. I mean, you saw in the Super Bowl, Boston Scott and Kenneth Gainwell get meaningful minutes and meaningful touches in the Super Bowl. They have DeAndre Swift now. They added Rashad Penny in free agency. So I think this running back room is just keep moving the chains. Whoever's in is going to get you at least 4 or 5 yards a carry kind of deal. So I like the Eagles.
Yeah, the Eagles have always been elite. I'm going to take the Niners, though. You've got Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell, Trey Sermon, who we didn't see at all, but he's still there. Tyrion Davis Price. You've got Debo Samuel, who takes snaps at the running back at this point, so I'll throw him in there. Give me the Niners, probably the best running back in the league with some serviceable pieces behind it.
Hey, what if I tell you Trey Sermon plays for the Eagles?
God damn it! All right, I'm obviously
Trey
not. I'm not doing my research, I guess.
Trey Sermon is signed with the Eagles. He got cut by the Niners in September this year. Trey
Oh
Sermon did.
shit!
That's
I
why I picked the
totally
Eagles.
did. All right, I'm changing. I'm sticking with it. Christian McCaffrey,
Okay.
Elijah Mitchell, Tyrion Davis Price.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The memory of Trey Sermon. I
The
actually
artist
the
formerly known
artist
as Trey
formerly known
Sermon.
as Trey Sermon. I did not know he got. Actually, I did know he got cut. Why did
Yeah,
I?
yeah, he
Yeah,
did.
I did. Okay, I just completely forgot that memory was
It's all
there.
right.
All right, cool. I'm 0 for 2 so far on these.
I'm ranking. Like who we play for. That's what we need to do. We need to
Yeah,
do who we play
we need a
for.
Taylor plays who he play for.
Yeah, I'm adding that to the
Ding
notes.
ding ni hao, Guangdong Tigers.
Um, for the wide receiver, I'm picking the Seahawks. I mean, a lot of very good receiving rooms, but not a lot. Okay, that got wrong. A lot of top level talent in the NFC, but not a lot of depth. Like you've got Cooper Cup, but the receivers outside of him are trash. You've got Justin Jefferson, receivers outside of him are trash. I went with Seattle. DK Metcalf, really good bounce back year last year. Probably top 10, 15, maybe top 15 is better. Tyler Lockett, I would argue, is top 20, 30 now, maybe a little bit of age. They drafted Jackson Smith and Jigba from Ohio State. So I like that room the best, but it's not like they're miles ahead of everybody else. I just like them enough.
Yeah, I think there's 3 teams like in consideration for it. I think, like you said, the Eagles or not the Eagles, the Seahawks with Jackson Smith and Jigba, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf is good. Their quarterback situation, I don't think that might be the one hindrance, but that's not what we're looking at. So they're definitely a top 3. I think the Eagles with Devontae Smith and AJ Brown is a solid elite 1-2 punch. You know, give me for the third the Detroit Lions. You've got Amon-Ra
Yeah, I was
St. Brown.
coming.
You've got Amon-Ra St. Brown. You've got Jamison Williams coming back from the suspension. Hopefully, you've got Marvin Jones.
D Hop
It's
when he signs.
D Hop when he signs. It's there. So I mean, they're probably not number 1. That's my top 3. But I mean, I'd be happy with any 3 of those cores. But I will take the Eagles as the number 1.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I'm not upset. The Eagles have a great receiving room too. Tight end, I'm going off the radar. Give me the New Orleans Saints. And here's why.
Taysom Hill.
Taysom Hill is technically a tight end.
Taysom Hill.
So give me the Saints of Taysom Hill, Jawan Johnson. You can't tell me there's a more impactful tight end in the NFC besides George Kittle, obviously, and Dallas Goedert than Taysom Hill. Like that gets the ball as much, right? So I'm going to take Taysom Hill.
Okay. I think you might have cheated that a little bit, but we'll allow it. We'll allow
Well,
it.
okay, besides the top 2 in the conference, like,
But is he a tight end?
but he's signed as one, and
he's a gadget piece.
he is, but he's his main position, what he
Alright,
signed his
that's fine.
contract
That's fine.
for, and his tight end.
I'll allow it. I added Debo to my running back room, so I'll let you have Taysom Hill as your tight end.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. Shit, what was I gonna? It's either the Seahawks with Will Disley and Noah Fant, or it's the Bears with Robert Tonyan and Cole Kmet. I'm gonna go with the Bears. I think tight end is probably the weakest position it's been at in a long time.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of tight end depth in in either the AFC or the NFC, but I mean Cole Kmet and Robert Tonyan are both average pieces, I guess. Having them both on the same team, maybe they form one elite tight end.
They combine their powers.
Yeah,
And then, I mean, O-line, I'll give it to you.
that's a no-brainer.
I'll give it to, I think the Green Bay Packers just have now play. It's the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions have the best O-line, arguably in football. I'd still give Cleveland the slight height of them because Sewell's only in the second season, but in 2 years, give me the Lions as the number 1 overall.
Yeah, Sewell, Ragnow, Taylor Decker. I don't know how to say it. Haloti via that guy. Big V is what we call him. I don't
Big
know how to say
V.
his name. Uh, yeah, they're top three in the league. Definitely number one in the AFC or the NFC.
Hmm. Yeah, the Lions are really good. The O
Yeah.
line's gonna be set for years.
Oh yeah.
Um,
They're all young too. I mean, like I think Taylor
yeah.
Decker's Big V is probably the oldest. I don't. I'm not gonna attempt to say his name because I just can't. I don't want to disrespect the man.
Woo, 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 woo.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're fine. I think that's it for football. Again, won't be much news until OTA starts.
We're just making shit up to talk about football at this point
Yeah.
because
A different kind of football happened over the weekend. We had obviously the Nations League end last week with the USA, Mexico. We talked about how the Gold Cup was happening this weekend. And the USA drew with Jamaica. I mean, they were losing for a majority of the game, not gonna lie.
yeah,
A lot of the USA's A team is out because a lot of their domestic clubs are starting their summer rotations now. Like the top European teams are like going to visit the States soon. So they drew against Jamaica again. It's just what is it, the top two of the four in the group make it to the next
yeah,
round. So the USA has Trinidad and Tobago, who ironically kept them out of the 2018 World Cup. So hopefully we have some revenge on them. And we play the powerhouse team of St. Kitts and Nevis. I thought you put who because they're part of the World Health Organization. No, you're just asking who were they.
who? Not a clue.
So
Never heard of him.
yeah, I think the USA still gets through, even if we draw Jamaica. I think they win the next two games.
I mean, is it a disappointment though? I mean, like I know we're ranked like 13 in the FIFA rankings. Obviously, that's with our A team. But like you would think the B team should be good enough to get past Jamaica with a win. I mean, even if it was a convincing draw, sure, that's
Mhm.
fine. But they didn't look good. They should have lost the game. I mean, the only reason they didn't was a Matt Turner penalty save and then the ensuing rebound getting kicked wide. Um,
Yeah,
an 88th minute goal. I don't even remember who scored it. I think it was Jesus Ferreira, but I don't know.
I don't remember.
It has to be a disappointment with Trinidad winning 3-0 against St. Kitts. They're more than likely going to need to beat Trinidad and Tobago to make it to the group stage with the draw against Jamaica. I mean, is it a disappointment for the U.S. or is it just a blip? And these guys haven't played together in so long. Maybe a game against St. Kitts on tomorrow. They're able to figure it out a little bit more, or is this like actually something we should be worried about?
I think it is a little bit because of all the trash they were talking after they beat Mexico in the Nations League and
Yeah,
Canada. Like they said, they want to bring back international level of play, but you can't let the easy ones slip by. Like you want to be 13 in the feet in the world, you got to beat the teams that are way lower than you. So you got to come back and make a statement the next couple games.
yeah. I think
I'm
Jamaica
not
was
worried,
ranked.
but
Yeah, Jamaica was ranked in the mid 60s. Trinidad and Tobago is I think a 104, and then St. Kitts is like 139th. So they should be easier games, but we saw them struggle with Jamaica. I mean, they need a resounding win against St. Like if they only beat St. Kitts 1-0, like there's an issue going into the final game against Trinidad. But I don't know. You beat them 7-0, and we'll see.
yeah. I think that's it for our major news of sports storylines. I mean, we've covered essentially everything there is. I mean, the draft. I don't know what we're gonna do outside because the draft doesn't happen this week, but we'll have free agency, I guess, to talk about
Yeah.
with the basketball. But I think that's it in terms of major sports headlines. Unless you got any questions, comments, or concerns.
We have our questions of the day.
Hmm.
I do have one.
Go for it.
All right. So, Game 7, World Series, bases loaded, Grand Slam, walk off, you're at home. Who are you bringing up to bat? You can pick anyone current or anyone. Actually, give me one current player and give me one legend. Who are you bringing up?
Does it have to be a grand slam?
I mean, game's on the line, 2 outs, Grand
Like
Slam wins
how?
the
Like
game.
how about I say how much am I down by? Because my answer is very different.
You're down 3. A Grand Slam wins the game.
Okay. Because I was gonna go if it was historical and I just need a hit, I'm going Ichiro. But obviously I'm not
Yeah.
doing that for a grand slam. Okay. Damn. Currently, game on the line, grand slam I need. I mean, it'd be idiotic not to go Aaron Judge.
You can
Like,
also take a current player in their prime.
no, I would still take Aaron Judge. I love Stanton in his prime, but I love Miguel Cabrera in his
Yep,
prime.
that's what
I
my
love
answer
Miguel
is.
Cabrera in his prime, but I'm taking Judge for right now. I'm gonna stick with Judge.
Okay, that's
Um,
fair.
yeah, I'm gonna go a random answer for past. Give me David Ortiz just to rub
That's
salt in your
not
wound
that's not
when
really
he did
random.
it.
No, don't bring
When
that
he
up.
did it for the
No,
Tigers in
no,
2013,
do
10 years
not.
ago this postseason in the ALDS.
Don't talk about it, man.
Or ALCS, sorry.
Fucking Reggie
Um,
Jackson, or was it? No, not Reggie Jackson. Austin Jackson flying over the center field wall.
yep,
I
yep.
I see that picture with the cop holding his hands up.
And
Austin
and and
Jackson's
Tor. Oh, was
yeah.
it with Jackson or Torrey Hunter?
Oh, maybe it was Torrey Hunter with
I
his
think it was Torrey
feet,
Hunter. Just like his feet were
up,
in the air.
the cop's hands in the. Oh, dude, that picture fucking haunts me.
Yeah, K Rod was pitching too. I remember. But I'm gonna go David Ortiz. Clutch. You know he's gonna get a hold of one. Like great average, great power. Like I could go any number of names. I could go. I could go with Joe DiMaggio. I could go with Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig. But like, I'm gonna stick with David Ortiz.
Okay, fuck you.
Okay.
That was disrespectful. Right
Out
when
of
you said
nowhere.
that, I knew where that
Out
was
of
going,
nowhere.
dude. Why am I catching strays on the podcast today, man? I knew that was where you were going with it.
It's because you didn't know Trey Sermon wasn't in the Eagles.
Yeah,
You
that's
thought he was still
fair.
in the
I deserve
Niners.
that one. All right, so for my current player, I'm taking
Hmm.
Shohei Ohtani.
Okay.
I don't know why. Just
Okay.
Shohei speaks to me.
Yeah.
He's leading the league in home runs, isn't he? He's got like 26, 25, 26.
Yeah, I think he's
But
just ahead of the catcher from the
yeah,
Braves.
I mean, prime Miguel Cabrera is probably 1B if I had to take one.
Yeah.
Um, but my legend is, I think it was a pretty obvious answer. It's Barry Bonds. I mean,
Yeah.
home run
Yeah.
legend himself. You get him with the roids. I'm taking Barry Bonds.
We're taking him clean. It's clean.
uh,
Pirates days, Barry
I'm
Bonds.
taking Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa, and Barry Bonds.
I'm taking 2002 summer any slugger.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I mean, that's not a bad pick. I mean, like, there's so many players.
Yeah,
I just
there
think
is.
clutch factors are a thing, and Barry Bonds has hit clutch home runs, but not in the postseason. And I'm not just using that example of the Tigers. Like, Ortiz did it his entire career with the Red Sox. So, my question of the day is multifaceted, and we just had the draft, so I had to bring it up. I'll go first. I need some time to think about it. What prospect were you absolutely dead on about being an absolute stud? Like you thought there's no way this guy should be drafted this low. He's going to be a ball. He's going to be the best player in this draft or like second best player in this draft. And who were you right about being a bust? You had no idea why this guy had the hype he did, why he was drafted so high. And now you can say, see, he's a scrub. His man is Kwame Brown. He can't play the game of basketball.
He is a
So
certified scrub.
So I'm gonna go first with right about being a stud. I mean, I wish I could say Giannis because that'd be really fun, right? But no way. I knew who not Giannis was before he got drafted. No, give me Jalen Brown. I know he went third overall, but I know when he got drafted, people were surprised he went that high to Boston. And I loved his game coming out of Cal. I thought he's done exactly what I thought he'd do. Like maybe not ever be the best option on the team, but still borderline all star, still going to earn max money this season. I know this postseason wasn't crazy, but I knew Jalen Brown was getting wrongful hate when he got drafted third overall. And for right about being a bust, give me Jalil Okafor. No way I thought this guy was good. I saw Miami. I saw a 6'9", 270 boy from the University of Miami body this man in college. I'm like, there's no way Jalil Okafor is going to be anything in the league. He hasn't been anything in the league. So I can pat my own back about Jalen Brown and Jalil Okafor from the college ranks.
All right. So I think so what is it? The
Who
person
were
that
you
I
right about sucking and who were you right about
okay.
being awesome?
So I was right about Walker Kessler. I said it. I said Walker
Oh.
Kessler was going to be elite in the NBA. He was. He got Rookie of the Year consideration, playing
Hmm.
alongside Laurie Markkinen. No,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, didn't know. People didn't think, oh, he can't shoot the three. Oh, like he's not. He's not a he's big. He's 7 foot, but he's pretty lanky. Like, is he gonna be able to take it?
Hmm.
He has. Walker Kessler's elite. Everyone that said he wasn't gonna be can suck it. I was right. I said it from day one. Walker Kessler was gonna be the steal of the draft. Maybe not the steal of the draft, but he was a pretty damn good pick. Um,
Yep.
and Minnesota just completely bundled that one. Um,
Yeah.
but the one person, the bust that I was right about, and I've been saying it since episode one. Zion Williamson is a bust. That man's a bust. I said he wasn't going to be good in the NBA. He was overhyped in high school. He was overhyped in middle school. He was overhyped in college. That guy was a
Yep.
bum. I was right. I don't know what the hype is around Zion. That dude's 300 pounds. He's good when he wants to play. He has no motivation. I've been right
Hmm.
the entire time. Zion Williamson, you sir are a certified scrub.
I mean, yeah, yeah, you could say that. I also want to throw an honorable mention to Michael Kidd Gilchrist. Never knew why he went in the second overall.
And
Never knew why.
Jabari Parker too. That guy was. I don't know
Yeah,
why that guy got hyped.
yeah. I will admit my faults about one man who I don't know if you could call him a stud, but he's definitely, I think, justified his draft position, and that's Karl Anthony Towns. I thought there's no way this man should have #1 overall. I thought there were much better options. I'm like, D'Lo is going to be better than him, Porzingis even. But I mean, Devin Booker's been the best player of the entire draft. But
Yeah.
so I was wrong about him being a stud. And in that same draft class, I have to sadly admit that Justice Winslow is my wrong about being a bust. I thought Justice Winslow was going to be the next LeBron for the Heat. I thought we were so lucky to get him at 10 when the Pistons took Stanley Johnson at 9. And I mean, Winslow's barely in the league playing for Portland now. Maybe the Clippers. No, he plays for the Clippers recently. I wish I could say the entire NBA Heat Twitter was saying Justice better, as in Justice was better than Devin Booker their first 3 years. And it was an actual conversation. But I mean, obviously Booker's on another planet now. Winslow's barely getting PT. So I got it. I'll rightly admit that Winslow was not as hype as I thought he'd be.
All right, I can admit my faults as well, and you'll like this one. I thought Bam Adebayo wouldn't be a good NBA player. I didn't think his game would translate to the NBA where you need to stretch five to compete. I thought
Hmm.
Bam Adebayo was just going to be a poor man's Dwight Howard,
Hmm.
and he has been better than I thought. So I will admit I was wrong. Um, and then I actually have two for my thought was going to be a stud, but is not. The first one, I thought Markel Fultz was going to be good. I
Hmm.
know. I thought Markel Fultz was going to be him. He
Hmm.
with injury history and playing time issues, and he's just not that good. And I was wrong, but I feel like a lot of people were too.
Yeah.
Um, I was wrong about Killian Hayes. I thought that guy was gonna.
Only you. I'm like, who the fuck is this French dude?
Yeah, I like talked myself into. I was like, oh, dude, he's gonna be like the next Manu. Like, dude's gonna be passing. He's gonna put up like 15, 10, and 5. Like, I'm excited. Killian Hayes is gonna be the answer. Killian Hayes is ass, and he's gonna be traded. I can't wait till Killian Hayes is off the Pistons. I was high on that man when he got drafted. It turns out I was just high.
Yeah. You could have had Tyrese Halliburton.
I know, and
Or Maxi even.
I was upset with that at first. I was like, damn, we should take Tyrese Halliburton. We took Killian Hayes, and I was like, this might not be a terrible pick. Maybe it'll work out. No,
Yeah.
sir. No, sir, it did not.
No, sir. Oh man. Imagine you had Tyrese. You probably wouldn't have needed to draft Cade the next year,
I know, so that's why I'm
which
like
means
kind
you
of
would have taken
happy.
Yvonne Mobley. You would have taken Mobley at 1, probably.
Yvonne, you mean Evan?
Evan Mobley, Evan Mobley,
What?
sorry. No, no, I saw the squiggle. That's because he's it was from Scotty Barnes winning rookie of the year.
Oh,
So yeah, yeah. But no, no, Evan. I just think you could have taken Mobley
yeah.
and Tyrese.
That butterfly effect is crazy. If we take Halliburton, we don't get Cade. We take Mobley, and that means we probably don't get Ivy, which means I don't know. We could have
But
done
you
that
still
route
get a
more.
really good player.
Cade's elite. Cade is
You
him.
get Shaden Sharp. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you.
Killian Hayes can just
But
go back to France.
he is in France. He's on the NBA.
Yes, he is.
I thought this was the last year of his deal, and they
No, he's
didn't
still
do his
no,
team
he's
option.
nope. He's still on the team, but he's gonna be traded for sure.
Oh, okay, okay. Oh yeah, he only got drafted in 2020. So this is the
This is his
fourth.
last year.
This is the last year of his deal. Yeah, okay.
He will be
I, I thought
traded.
I thought he was gonna play for the team that what's his face was on Victor
Yeah, he's
Wembanyama.
gonna go play over there.
Yeah, but I think that's enough uh, sports headlines and perspective lists for this episode. I think
It's a very
we'll
subjective
see.
episode.
Yeah, lots of it. I think I'll see what I can do for who he play for you for the
Yeah,
next
bro,
episode.
we gotta get some who he play for. That actually might be
I,
fun.
that will. But I think that's it for this episode 26. To let you know what happened in free agency, any baseball news that happens. Maybe D Hop and Dalvin Cook sign for a team. Dame gets traded. Who knows? But until next time, always catch us on Spotify, on YouTube, on the non-existent TikTok page, which will happen probably when we hit 100 episodes. We'll see. No pressure. No pressure. Um, but yeah, until next time, with the 31305 podcast, I'm Alex,
I'm Taylor.
and we'll see you then.